finish for the whole Shar Rishon?
Yeah, that we did.
Now we're in the beginning of Shar Sheni? No, we're past it.
We passed it, yeah.
I think we're at OTZROT.
Yes, I think that's where we're up to, yeah.
You missed last week.
You're on.
How about that? Sharei Kedusha?
What page are we on?
I think maybe we're further.
Huh?
Which book you have?
We're in Yud, in this book.
No.
Which book is that, Rabbi?
We're in Yud Aleph.
No, you don't have
Yeah, was it Tavin? Yeah, Yud Aleph. So I want to tell you guys, as we're getting close to Chodesh Elul, and as we see that what was put into our judgment on Rosh Hashanah of last year, the whole world in general. So we really have to make a better job this year. And from Tu B'Av until Rosh Hashanah, we have exactly 40 days. Right? So exactly 40 days. And from Tu B'Av, from this tomorrow night, till Rosh Hashanah, exactly 40 days. That's Mem Yom the Yitzirat Havaled, and Rosh Hashanah is Yom Harat HaOlam. 40 days before the child is born, they already say what is his Bat Zug, right? And on Rosh Hashanah, it's Yom Harat HaOlam. So we have to take a couple of things upon ourselves. And don't say, Ha-chalash yomar gibor ani. A person who's chalash, he thinks he's chalash, say you're gibor. Yesh lachem zman. A person who thinks he's weak should say, I am strong.
I'm very strong.
And I ordered for the shul Tikkunei Zohars. I'm going to give it out.
Small also or big?
Small, B'ezrat Hashem.
We should do reading together.
And I also want to do reading together. And I also want to do with your permission, guys. But this needs a day from you. Not a day, 3 hours a day of one day. I need 3 hours of one day. Tikkun Nishamot HaNiftarim.
Wow.
We did this before in our shul, a long time ago. I think 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, remember?
During the Sukkot.
Yeah. It was during Koshana Rabbah, I think, no?
No, it was one of these Sukkot.
It's Sukkot. And I want to do it again with you guys. Tikkun Nishamot HaNiftarim. Special Tikkun Rabbi Yehuda Ptaya wrote, where we all sit down together, 10 guys, and we finish the book of Tehillim. We could do it even together. We'd finish all together the one book, make Hakafa, Shofar, special Hashkava, Tzedakah. Second book, Shofar, Hakafa, special Hashkava. Third book of Tehillim, Shofar, Hashkava, special Tzedakah. Fourth book, fifth book, we do until chapter 119, Shofar, Hashkava, special Tzedakah. And then we do the chapter 119, again, Hakafa, with Sefer Torah, Shofar, and then we do the end from 120 to 150. I say 3 hours. Just it should take shorter.
Depends how many people.
Understand? It depends how many people exactly. And I want to do this with us before the school year starts. We need to do this. It's not a simple thing because remember, Hametim mitpalelim al hachaim. Our ancestors pray for us in Shamayim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they don't always know what's going on. They don't know. Only when we go to their kever and we let them know, then their nefesh lets the ruach know, and the ruach to the neshama, all the way up to Atzilut. So we have to go, and remember, in every world of Biriya, Yitzirah, and Asya, there is a Gan Eden, there is a Eretz Yisrael, there is a Bet HaMikdash. In every world there is a Bet HaMikdash, yeah, in every single one. So we have to do this tikkun, Rabbi Say. I've been wanting to tell you guys about this for a long time, and every time it just eludes me.
We can't do it at night, right?
Not at night. It's with Tehillim. We need to do it during the day.
Can we do it
And-
Shabbat?
No, we can't do it on Shabbat. It's shofar, and we need to do it. More people, the better. Everyone will choose one person to say Le'ilun Nishmato.
Wow.
Not 100. One person. I pick one, you pick one, you pick one, you pick one. Everyone picks one. I want to let you guys know this. Rabbi Yehuda Ptaya took Natan Ha'azati out of Kaf Hakela with this.
Wow.
Do you know what that is? Natan Ha'azati. He was almost like Avi Avota Tum'ah. This guy. He was a Navi Sheker. more than this you want? He said he was a Navi. Navi Sheker. He took him out of Kafakelat into Gehenom with this. We need to do this, Rabbi Isai. Another thing I want to do tomorrow night, I still don't know if I'm going to do it yet. Probably I will do something. But you guys, once again, Chalash Yomar Giborani. Tomorrow night is a very big Etratzon. It was the night that the Gzera of 40 years was Midbatel. 40 years in the desert. It's a time of tefillah. It's a Etratzon. It's a Etratzon. The Gemara says there weren't greater days for the Jews than Tu B'Av Yom Kippurim. We're not going to take advantage of this day. We have to come here and we have to make a P'tichat Ha'echal with tefillot. Nothing long, 1-2 hours, half an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something small, 20 minutes. At least we did our tefillah. At least we did our hishtadlut. So please, Rabbi Isai, don't say it's a small thing. It's a very big thing. We could change it. Remember, 40 days till Rosh Hashanah, from tomorrow night. We have to change the whole thing. If a person has a court ticket, he has to go to court. He doesn't sleep the whole night. He smokes 2 packs of cigarettes, right? Person who has a court in front of Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's not going to be a bit scared. Everything that happened to us this year was dictated on Rosh Hashanah. Don't we want to make a better outcome? And one more thing. Besides for giving you guys Tikkunei Zohar, I want to also give you guys all one book of Zohar HaKadosh, small. Pocket size Zohar HaKadosh. I have this. Pocket size Zohar HaKadosh. Every day you read 10-20 pages. I will tell you a story. From Rav Benayahu Shemueli, the Rosh Yeshivat R.Shalom. He says this story. He said, when he was a student in Porat Yosef, his Rebbe, in his time, the Rebbe was Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul. I talked about him. And Rav Ben Zion used to give he was very mipulpal. He used to give a shiur on Gemara and Halacha. It was very deep. And the students used to tell the Rebbe, we don't understand what you're saying. You know what he used to tell them? Rosh Yeshiva Porat Yosef. This is back then. He used to say, guys, every day read 20 pages for 20 minutes, pages of Zohar. You will understand what I'm saying in the Gemara. I'm telling you, I heard this from his mouth, from Rabbi Benayahu Shemueli's mouth. He said this. Another story I will tell you guys. Another story. Rabbi Benayahu Shemueli, his father was the main student of Mordechai Sharabi. The great Mikubal. Listen to me, guys. I'm giving you guys right now a neches. He said, Rabbi Benayahu grew up in Israel. They used to have a shchunot. You have over here African American neighborhood, the Jewish neighborhood, this, that. In Israel, it's the same thing. You have the Kurdis, the Parsis, the Bukharians, the this, that. So Rabbi Benayahu grew up in the Kurdi, in the Kurdistanis, in that neighborhood. And in that neighborhood, the chief rabbi over there, Av Beidin, was a rabbi called Rav Yitzchak HaKohen. And he was a very big Talmid Chacham. He was a Chassid, big Talmid Chacham. He used to bring people closer to Hashem. Very big guy. Gemara, Halacha, Bet Yosef, anything. Towards the end of his life, he went to Rav Mordechai Sharabi in Yerushalayim, Atika, and I said to him, listen, I never learned CHAIM in my life. I want to come to you. I want to learn, but I'm so old already. I don't have the koach to learn about Atik, Arir, Za, Nok, Abba Ve'ima, Gadlut, Katnut, all these kavanot. Rav Mordechai said, don't worry about it. Just stay in the shiur, just listen. Just listen. For 2 years, he used to come to Rav Mordechai Sharabi's shiur, and he used to just listen. He wouldn't even open the book. Just listen. Like this. He was a big Talmid Chacham, big Chassid. After he passed away, him and his son, Rav Ze'ev Kohen, after he passed away, Mordechai Sharabi was once giving a shiur. He used to have a very big shiur. I mean, like I have a Mincha of Shabbat, Lahavdil. He used to have a shiur like this, but his shiur was much more packed. It was ad efes makom. He used to give a shiur from the book Rishit Chochmah, very high-level book of Musar. And he gave once in his shiur, he said that this Rav Yitzchak Kohen, the Av Beidin of the Kurdim, he came to me in my dream last night on Shabbat, and he said to me, I can't tell you exactly what's going on over there, but I'll tell you one thing. Rabbi said, listen to me this. I'm giving you guys a neches. He said like this. He said, all that I did in my life, the bringing people closer to Hashem, answering halakha, inviting people to my house, buying people tefillin, all these things, that olam haba does not equal what I did in the last 2 years of my life when I used to come to your shiur and I just used to listen. I didn't even understand. Yeah, that's what he told him. I heard this from the mouth of Rabbi Benayahu Shmueli himself. And I'm making stories up. And I'll tell you even more than that. R.Shalom Buzaglo. R.Shalom Buzaglo. Bal Kisei HaMelech. One of the main Pirushim on the Zohar writes, and Rav Yudah Ptaya, you know? Rav Yudah Ptaya writes this in his Hakdamata Etz Hayim B'Lechem Yehuda. He writes like this: what a person does in 1 hour of learning Etz Hayim Sodot Torah, he cannot do when he learns 1 hour. 1 hour of learning Gemara, 1 year of learning Gemara does not equal to that. And I want to tell you with the Pele Yoetz. You know Pele Yoetz? Rav Eliezer Pap. You're born on his yahrzeit. 6th day of Sukkot, Yosef HaTzadik. He writes in Erech HaZohar, in his book Pele Yoetz, one of the greatest books of Eliyahu J. Mansour. He has a whole shiurim list. All Pele Yoetz. Listen to it, you're going to like it. He writes over there in Erech HaZohar, he writes, a person that does, who megamgem, you know what megamgem is? He stutters when he reads the Zohar. He doesn't know what the heck he's saying over there. Even. He's megamgem. He does a tikkun what his neshama cannot even imagine, even if he's saying the wrong words. When he reads the Zohar Kadosh. How is that so powerful? The Zohar Kadosh, you should know one thing, after 120 years, you're going to go to Shammai. They're going to ask you, Hakavat ta'itim la-Torah, did you learn Torah? You're going to say, yes. Monday nights I came, heard a shiur. Shabbat we learned halachot. Secha, you learned Chumash? Check. Mishnah? Check. Gemara? Check. You learned halacha? Check. Bet Yosef? If all these are checked, obviously. At the end, they're going to get up to the Zohar Kadosh. They're going to say, you learned Zohar Kadosh? The whole thing? You did it or no? If you say check, did you learn Etz Hayim? You understood? Did you Hudim? You try to see how my thunder works? It's a Heichalot Rabbi Yishmael Kohen Gadol. You saw how my atoms work? Do you understand my kavod? Did you try to look at my kavod? They're going to ask you that this in Shamayim. They want to know, did you care for the kavod of Hashem? And I'm going to tell you one last thing. Two more things. That's right now what I'm telling you is more important than the Sharei Kedusha, because we're getting close to Rosh Chodesh Elul. We have to take this apart. There was a big rabbi. He was a millionaire. From Libya, from Louvre. He was from Tripoli. Rav Nisim Nachum. Ask my father who he is. We were once on Friday by the Har HaZeitim. We were davening by his kever. And the Fridays for the Arabs is their Shabbat. I'm like, Abba, they're coming with their... It's like a sea of them. A sea. I'm like, Abba, they're coming with their shtichim. We don't know what they're hiding over there. Let's get out of here. He wouldn't leave. It's like he was in a mikvah. He just wouldn't leave. I'm like, Abba, I started to hide beneath the kever. The kever is big. I started to hide under it like this. He's davening over there. I'm like, are you okay? Huh? I think he was longer there. At least Nachum was a millionaire, very big millionaire. He was in the time of Rav Ezra Atiyah in the pre-World War II. Pre-World War II in Yerushalayim. He used to pay every rabbi in Porat Yosef. Used to pay him. He was the one who was Mefarnes. He opened up the yeshiva Mekubalim LaAshkenazim called Shar HaShamayim. He opened up their yeshiva for them. He was the financier, the sponsor. When he, in his lifetime, when the Hitler was coming, Yemach Shemo V'Zichro, with General Rommel, Yemach Shemo V'Zichro, the Desert Fox, when they were, 1942 it was, Tafshin Bet, they were reaching, remember it started 1939, 1942 was the middle of the war, they got to Alexandria. There were many stories what the Mekubalim did in Yerushalayim. One of the things Rav Nisim Nachum did is that he got together all the Edah Haridit, Rav Ezra Atiyah, this, and then he got them all the rabbis together, and he said to them, I'm making from my own money, I'm buying 1,000 copies of the Zohar HaKadosh. And I'm spreading this out to the whole Klal Yisrael. And the Zohar says, with this book, we will come out of the Galut with Rahamim. Well, you know what it was, 1,000 copies of the Zohar back then? In the whole world till then, there wasn't 1,000 copies of the Zohar. He from his own money bought 1,000 copies. He spread it out to everybody, and they finished. They made a siyum of 1,000 times the Zohar. It says over there, when he passed away, he came to Rav Mordechai Sharabi in a dream, and he was holding a staff. And he asked him, "What is this staff?" He said, "This is the staff of Mashiach, because I brought Mashiach so much closer with me spreading the Zohar Kadosh. I will have the zchut when the time comes to give Mashiach his staff."
Wow.
He told him, the Rav Nisim Nachum. That's the zchut of the Zohar. And I can tell you more stories like this, but I'm going to end over here. We got to get to the Sharei Kedusha. So, Rabotai, HaChalash Yomar Gibor Ani, huh? No, he was Libyan. He was Tripoli. He was a Sfaradi. But he was rich, very rich. Very rich. So, let's... so, we were talking about the Midot Ra'ot and Midot Kedushot. And we said how the Midot Ra'ot are more important than the actual mitzvot, because the Midot Ra'ot is the Nefesh Behemit. If your Nefesh Behemit is not ready, your Nefesh HaSichlit does not have the ability to reveal itself. ובזה תבין גם כן דברים מתמיהים. I think we read this already, guys. We'll read this again. שרמו רבותינו ז"ל בעניין מידות. There are a couple of weird things the Chachamim said when it comes to מידות. כי הענווה והשפלות מביא דרוח קודש. The Chachamim said when a person is humble and he puts himself down, he comes to Ruach HaKodesh. ושורה עליו שכינה. And the Shekhinah dwells on him. ואמר אליהו זכור לטוב. אין התורה מתפרשת אלא מי שנקודם. Torah can only be explained by somebody who is not strict. Afani ini nigla, also I do not reveal myself, only to somebody who is not strict. We read this, I know. Kamo shamru rabotenu zal shalchu mitam ezu ben olam haba. They sent to Israel. Who is ben olam haba? Kol shu shafel berech vanvatan. Whoever puts himself down and he's humble. Ke'ele rabot lo zachu b'kiyum mitzvot. It doesn't talk about doing mitzvot. Ela midot tovot, only good midot. Why? Because when you do the good midot, it's obvious that you're going to do mitzvot. ושים בעיניך דברים אלו ותצליח דבריך בלי ספק. ואמנם כמו 4 יסודות גופניים הם שורשים שהם נוצרו את הרגל והגוף, just as the 4 bodily yesodot. Yesodot is foundations, are the roots for your 613 limbs in your body. So too nafshot ha'arba yesodot, the spiritual 4 foundations, hem yesodot lechol midot tovot, are the foundations for all the 613 good characteristics. Verad, also the bad ones. Asher be'emtzahutam yikoimu yibatlu Torah. With through them, either you keep the Torah, the mitzvot, shem tariag, which are 613, and they come from those 4 foundations of fire, water, air, and wind, come from the 4 letters of Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Kaniskar lael v'mekayman, whoever keeps the mitzvot. Hem nefesh hasichlit, it's the godly soul. Haklula ma'arba yisod, which includes in the 4 foundations. Ruchanim are spiritual. Asher misham chutz v'taryag evrei nefesh, and from that comes out the 613 limbs of your nefesh behemit. V'aven zemeot. Ech hayisod shel hakiyum mitzvot hem midot tovot. So the foundation of your mitzvot are only through your good midot. That means if you see somebody with good midot, he is a kli mikubal. He's ready to do the mitzvot. He has the power to receive. But if a person you see is bad midot, he can have a lot of Torah. He's gonna have shbirat hakelim. He's gonna have bad. He's gonna chas v'shalom. He's gonna break. It's not good. He's gonna lose everything. Like Yeravam ben Navat, right? He had ga'ava, and he could have. I don't remember the Gemara Sanhedrin. He had like 136 ways of explaining Torah. At the end, he lost everything. He doesn't even have olam haba. He lost everything because from his ga'ava. V'zei inyanam. This is the matter. Anything in the world has positive and negative. Just like the 4 foundations, hagufanim, the materialistic ones, nikra chomer, is called material. Hayesodot, of the foundations, murkav mito vera, it's included in it good and bad. Umisham ba'im kochot kiyum haguf, from it comes the power to live of the body. Your heart beats from these 4 foundations that you have in you: fire, water, air, and wind. O tachluav shem arba marot, and the evil of these 4 the foundations are the 4 marot. You have 4 fluids in your body. That from these 4 fluids, like your gallbladder, your spleen. I don't think the blood. I think the liver is another one of them. It's shachor, yarok, lavan, ve'adom. You have 4 fluids in your body that from there come all your foundations of your evil midot.
Kachol glue also?
Not kachol, yarok. Yarok is green or yellow, like the gallbladder. Mara levana. You have the mara levana here. He's explaining to you the white fluid. Mara yeruka, the yellow fluid. Mara shchora, the black fluid.
White fluid is what, semen?
No, white fluid comes from your spleen.
Spleen is black.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's white. Though it's white blood cells. It creates white blood cells, your spleen. It's white. Mara yeruka is your green. It's their gallbladder. Mara shchora is your blood, your overflowing blood. Your blood that gets bad, it turns black. Mara aduma is your liver. That's when you overindulge yourself in ta'avot. Shchora, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is when you have too much blood in your body. That's why the Chachamim always used to do bloodletting. Yeah, they used to do hakazat dam because when you have too much blood in your body, when blood gets spoiled, spoil is not the right word. We learned about it in Nida. Yeah, it gets blood that's left over turns black. It turns black.
I remember learning the spleen is black.
Okay, we'll look into it. Also in your nefesh you have 4 tzurot. You have 4 parts that formates your nefesh. That forms your nefesh. Ha'arba yisodot, these 4 yisodot, hem aderech zeh tov ve'ra. Now each one of these 4 are good and bad. Umehem nimshach briut hanefesh. From there comes the health of your body. Hayisodit, the foundation of your body. Sheba'adam shem midot tovot, which are your good midot. O tachluei R.Shalom, or your sicknesses. Your sicknesses come from these 4 fluids in your body. That's why they say over there in the Zohar, it says when you get angry, which one of your fluids get red one? The liver, and then from there comes Chas Shalom. I don't want to say depression is the spleen, and the bladder I think is ta'avot, if I'm not mistaken. Those comes from the 4 klipot. Shebanevesh. So all of us inside of us have 4 klipot. If you destroy those 4 klipot, if you take them off of you, what's going to happen? Instead of them, takes the place 4 names of Hashem, 4 letters of Hashem's name, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shem Or HaMechayen Nefesh HaYisodit, which is the light that gives the life that is power to your foundation. V'gam hi v'aguf shela hi merkava. Then your body also becomes a chariot to Kedusha. Yidbarach sheba'olam ha'asiyah. Even in asiyah, that means that's what happens. You see tzaddikim, their brachas work. You know those kind of tzaddikim, like Mordechai Sharei, these kind of tzaddikim. I tell you guys a short story, personal story. If we're in Sharei Kedusha, I can tell you the small story. So me and my wife couldn't have kids for a couple of years in the beginning of our marriage. So we went to the doctor. They said nothing was wrong. Bukharian family, don't have kids right away. They want to hang you. Something's wrong with you. We were told that this one's wrong with you. They went to Baba's, this, that. So I said, I couldn't care less. I enjoyed myself, I won't lie to you. We went to Ukraine, we went to Israel a couple of times, we went to Florida. For me, it was good. But, for the woman, because the woman, even though she's not mitzvah p'rari, for her it hits most. That's why Hashem put that in her. Even though she's not mitzvah, she wants it more. For a guy, it's just the opposite. He's mitzvah, but he doesn't want it as much. So Hashem did it, zelu matzeh. Anyway, back then I was learning in Williamsburg. We had a shiur in OTZROT CHAIM every Monday night, I think, with a rabbi called Rav Nissim Chaim. He was a student of Rav Moadev, and which is a student of Nissim Peretz and Rav Benaim Shmueli. So we went over there and we were learning every single week. I remember we started the class with like 15 guys. At the end, it was just me and my brother left over there. And then at the end, the rabbi left. We stayed, the rabbi left. Anyways, we already knew OTZROT CHAIM, but we wanted to do it again. We learned it with Rav Yonatan Chen. So we were learning, and so I told Rav Moadev, I said, listen, what can I do to have children? So he said, there's only one place you got to go for to have children. I knew it. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He says, go to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I said, what, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? He said, go over there, daven. I said, when do I go? When it says Hilulah. Lag BaOmer, you got to go. There's only one place you gotta go, Lag BaOmer. I said, what? Lag BaOmer, I'm gonna go. 300,000 people over there. Like it's, you go, and I hate crowds. I hate them. Like, I feel very claustrophobic when I'm with people. So, but I said, okay, listen, it's gonna be a nice trip. So we go. My father found out about it. He says, I'm tagging along. I'm like, this is a private thing, you know. He's like, no, I'm coming. I'm like, okay, whatever, you're coming. You're paying for the rides, though. So he came. He did pay, by the way. So we rented a small cottage over there. It was nice. We had some fun. And we got to Rabbi Shimon. And before I went to Rabbi Shimon, I decided to go get a bracha from R.Shalom Shmueli. He's 102 years old. He's the rabbi. Rav Tzion Bracha, and Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri each did 6 years fasting, and 7th year they had no Yetzer Hara. It's called Shuvat HaKaneh, like the Ben Ish Chai did.
Second, actually, for real?
Yeah, they fasted for 6 years.
They don't have Yetzer Hara?
No Yetzer Hara. If you do that, but then for the rest of your life you can't eat meat. You could only eat fish twice a year, Erev Yom Kippur and on Purim.
How do you know they have no Yetzer Hara?
That's what the Shuvat HaKaneh says. It's a book called Sefer
I
HaKaneh.
understand, you're right with that.
You don't have any inclination to do Averot. Like the Gemara says, there was one rabbi used to take the kala, put her on the shoulder, and used to dance with her, and the rabbi said, you're embarrassing us. He said, for me, it's like a piece of wood. I don't even feel anything. That's what it calls no Yetzer Hara. He has no inclination.
The food is the worst klipa, right?
The beginning of the klipa. It's the beginning of the klipa. All your midot haraot get life from food. So you cut their life source.
When you
So
stop eating food.
that's why when do you feel the most spiritual? On Yom Kippur. Right? That's when you feel the most spiritual because you didn't eat. Right? So anyway, so I went to Rav Shalom Shmueli. Over there, he doesn't talk to nobody. He doesn't talk to nobody. This was Isha 8 years ago. He was, I think, 95. I went over there, and all the Mekubalim, the younger ones, were already in Meron. They go there a week before. They already start the festivities a week before. And I went to the thing, and they were davening, and it was Omer time. There's no kavanot, so they daven fast. And I was very scared. The only time I was ever scared to meet somebody like that was when I met Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and when I met my Rabbi Rav Chen for the first time. Those were the only 3 times where I ever was scared to meet a rabbi, to meet anyone. I was shaking. And I was davening Mariv, and I remember davening Mariv. I don't remember if I prayed Aravid or I didn't pray Aravid. I was sweating. And you could call it that. It was just, I was scared to talk to him. And I remember he sits in a place where nobody sees him. Nobody sees him. He sits like in the corner somewhere. And there was one rabbi who was sitting, I still remember how he looked, he had a small, gray, blackish beard with blue eyes, very old guy. And I said to him, Efo Harav, I knew where he was, I just wanted to make conversation with somebody, I was so nervous. So I asked him, Efo Harav, and he didn't even talk, he was in shul, he didn't talk, he's like, he looked at me, he pointed away, and he was smiling. And I went to the rabbi and I said to him, he was walking after Aravid, and he did Sfrat Omer with Kavanot, and I asked him, Arav Tevarechoti, Le'yeladim. And he looked at me and he said, Bracha v'atzlacha, and he just walked away. For me, that was enough. It was like, I just won $1 billion. I just won over there $1 billion. And I remember the night afterwards, before I went to Meron, it was Thursday night, I was sleeping, and in a dream I see the rabbi, but I don't see him. It's the same rabbi. And you remember I told you guys on Shabbat, when the first machloket in Klal Yisrael was smicha, to do smicha on Yom Tov, and how do you do smicha? You press your hands on the animal with all your might. It was actually today's Chok Israel. It was today's Chok Israel Pesach Chagiga.
Oh, yeah?
And I had a major chidush on it. And I see him doing smicha on me with all of his might. With all of his might.
Well, why do you put smicha on an animal?
You have to it's like you're putting all your averot on him. You're doing vidui. When you bring the animal as a korban. So I see him doing smicha on me, and in my dream, all my bones in my body are breaking apart. I feel as they're, like in my dream, I feel as they're breaking apart in my dream. And I wake up, and when I wake up, I'm feeling my hand as if I feel like they just broke apart. And I went to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and we went over there all night. We read Idra Rabbah. All night we were reading Zohar Kadosh. And Meron is a mountain. It's a mountain. Everything is mountains over there. Mountains. All night we were reading Zohar. We went down the mountain. We fell. We this, that. God bless my father. He wanted to take a shortcut. I'm like, Abba, it's steep. Let's just go around. He's like, no, we're going down now. I'm like, come on, I want to live. We went down, and it was funny seeing a 25-year-old, and he's like 50, and he went down faster than me. And I almost slipped, whatever, it was a story. I went down, we learned Idra Rabbah the whole night. We went the whole night. The whole night we were either Rabba. We said Kaddish early in the morning, and we learned parts of the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And we went over there, and I made a neder by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I said, Rabbi Shimon, if you're gonna pray for me, and be l'zchut, I'm named after you, Shalom Bar Yochai. You're gonna pray for me, and you're gonna bless me. B'ezrat Hashem, you're gonna be my melitz yosher in Shamayim. I promise you, if I have a son, in 3 years, he's gonna be 3 years old. I'm gonna bring him over here. I'm gonna do 3-year-old chalake over here, and that's what I did. We came back almost. I don't remember how long ago it was, but very close afterwards. My wife got pregnant. We had a baby boy, and at 3 years old, we went over there and we did the chalake. And I did many things: tzedakah, this, that. Never with a lot of pressure, but one thing I know, I learned Zerah Shimshon. I remember I used to learn Zerah Shimshon a lot. Gave tzedakot, we did zikuy rabim. But one thing, I tell you one thing for sure. One thing I know, that the power of the Zohar HaKadosh, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the secrets of the Torah, to want to know Hashem. What's the Zohar? To want to know Hashem. To take that nefesh behemit out of you, take it out. And we mitlabeshet with nefesh sichlit. You know, when we were there in Lag BaOmer all night, we didn't know what was night and what was day. It was such a... it was like a high. It was like a high moment. It was so like out of there, you know. And lahavdil, when you would go up the mountain, all the chilonim are there. I'm not saying anything bad about them. Chas v'shalom, they're our brothers. We take a bullet for them, but you see the difference. They're dancing with music, this, that, and the other side of the mountain, you got people learning there and doing it. But still, elu ve'elu, you know, they're serving Hashem. And it was so, I'm telling you, the power of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, not Rabbi Shimon, the Zohar Kadosh, what he got from Rabbi Akiva, which he got from Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol, that he got from Rabbi Hamed Zakkai, to Hillel HaZaken, Shmai v'Avtalion, all the way to Shimon HaTzadik, which he got from Chagai Zachariah Malachi, which he got from the Nevi'im HaKadoshim, till Moshe Rabbeinu, which was the Kabbalah from Halakha Moshe Sinai. A person wears Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin, he's a pshatnik, and he thinks he's wearing one the right tefillin, one the wrong tefillin. It comes Dariya Kadosh's Mapitom. They're both correct. Just Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin is such a high level, you cannot even say a bracha on it. So Ari says in Sha'ar Kavanot, Ben Ish Chai brings this down in Elchot Tefillin, B'Shtach Yisara. So we gotta learn this. This is what our generation is needed for, I would say. This is what our generation is needed for, to learn the Pnei Torah. Because just the opposite, the previous generations, they were big neshamot. And what did they want only? Pshat, halakha. They did what they needed to do. They brought all the halachot down. We need to bring, Rabbi Yisai, the power of the Zohar HaKadosh. And I'm telling all the single guys over here, if you take up on yourself to read, just ligam, even if you ligamgem, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes, just to start. Take a Tikkunei Zohar or Zohar HaKadosh. I'm telling you, it's like going inside a wash. It's like your neshama will automatically be susceptible to more, to halacha, to chumash, to everything.
You have to know
What's the
yourself.
difference? Tikkunei Zohar, Zohar Kadosh?
Tikkunei Zohar is all the olam ha'asiyah. It's olam ha'asiyah. It's all about the mitzvot we do in this world, everything in this world. The Zohar HaKadosh is all in olam ha'asilut. Oh, it's very spiritual. It's this, raya mehemna. You understand?
Even when you're stuttering, when you're reading through,
You're still doing the Pele Yoetz says, it's not me, the Pele Yoetz. If you want to make your kli susceptible to Kedusha-7, only Zohar HaKadosh. You're never going to regret it, never. I'm telling you. But you have to understand, this is not a small job. It's not a job for 1 day, 2 days. It's a job, as much as the klipa inside of you, as much you need to clean it out. Let's finish the paragraph, do a little short CHAIM outside. וגם היא הגוף שלה יהיה מרכז קדושה. It means your neshama will be a מרכבת הקדושה שבעולם העשייה, כמו שהתבהר בנפש השכלית, just like we learned by the נפש השכלית, ממש בקיימי מצוות, when you do the מצוות. One more sentence. וזכור ואל תשכח. Listen to what he says over here. גם על ידי עסק התורה בארבע פירושים, שסימנם פרס, when you learn the Torah with the 4 ways, פשט, רמז, דרש, and sod, יהיה רוחו השכלי, your ruach השכלית, not a nefesh, but the ruach will be a kiseh, a chariot, אל שם הוויה, שבעולם היצירה, not of the world of עשייה, but of the world of יצירה. וכן על ידי מחשבה, if your מחשבה, בכוונה תהיה נשמתו השכלית כיסא לשם הוויה, שבעולם הבריאה. If your neshama will be pure, then your neshama, then your kavana, your moach will be a kiseh to the Shem Havaya in the world of Bria.
So you're moving up already.
You're moving up, and that's the way you get your nefesh. And I want to tell you guys one last thing. We're gonna close the Sharei Kedusha. I was going over Hilchot Tefillin and Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai says over there in B'Shtach Yisara, If a person wants to get his nefesh, ruach, and neshama, mukhrach, he must learn Torah with his tefillin. Especially Rabbeinu Tam. He means Rabbeinu Tam, but he says tefillin over there. If you want to be zocheh to get your nefesh, ruach, and neshama, you must learn Torah with your tefillin. He's talking about Rabbeinu Tam, which is Orach Chochmah. Now, I want to go over what we did last week really quickly. I'm going to ask you guys questions as I go. I want to see who remembers.
So some people question the Zohar's
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Send them to me.
So the Zohar comes from Moshe Rabbeinu.
There's some Greek.
Yes, yes. It comes from Moshe Rabbeinu. It comes from
Oh, there's Coke. Okay.
It's water.
Oh, this is a better one. That's it.
You didn't learn nothing.
Whatever, man.
All right, Rabbi Say, talk to me. We said the beginning everything was Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Yes or no?
Yes.
And then there was a halal. She'ala b'rtzono apashut. There was a halal. In the halal he brings down the kav. Yes? The kav creates two worlds. What are they? Igulim and the Yosher. All the Zohar and everything talks about which olam? Only the Yosher, the straight. We are fixing the Igulim, which are the Nefesh, compared to the Yosher, which is the Ruach. Very nice. The first world that the Olamot HaYosher make is which partzuf? Which olam? Ak. Ak. Adam Kadmon. We don't say it, we say Ak. Ak starts from almost the beginning of the Kav, almost till the end of the Kav. Right? The Neshama of Ak is the Kav itself. That's the Neshama of Ak. And then on Ak, you have, Ak has what? His own. Abba, Arich, Abba, Ve'ima, Vezun. But we don't call him that. What do we call them instead? It's such a high world. We call them in the words of the Shemot, which are what? Ab, Sag, Ma'uben. Ab being what? Chokhmah. Right? Sag being Bina. Ma being Za. And Ben being Nuk. Okay? So you have Ab, Sag, Ma, Ben. Ab in Ak starts from where? We call it the Ainayim. Sag starts from the Oznaim. Ma, Ben starts from the Tabur. We call it, right? Now, from Ab, we don't talk. We don't talk about Ab the Ak. We don't talk about it. Sag, we start to talk. From Sag, we start to talk about three worlds. What are they? Before we get to the world of Nikudim, we have Ozen, Chotem, and Peh. Peh has another, the Olamot of Peh have another name. What are they? Akudim. Besod ve'akol et Yitzhak beno. In the world of Ozen and Chotem, we don't see a Kli. We have Shorshe HaKelim over there. In the world of Peh, we have how many Kelim? 10. One Kli with 10 compartments. Right? So in the world of Peh, which is the Akudim, we have a Kli. Now, the Ozen, Chotem, Peh are what of Ak? Because Sag has its own Asmab, right? Has its own Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ben has its own. So, Ab de Sag is the Ta'amim of Sag. We have Ta'amim, Nikudot, Tagin, ve Odiyot. So the Ta'amim of Sag, there's three Ta'amim. There's in top of the letter, middle of the letter, and bottom of the letter. That's the Ozen, Chotem, and Be. Now what happens? In the world of Akudim, we start to see a Kli. How does the Kli work? We talked about it last week really quickly.
Right here.
How does the Kli work? The main way is through a, what do we call it? How do you,
Clash.
you need a clash. You need a hakaz, zivug, very nice. You need a zivug. You need a clash. You need a zachar and nekeva. What's the zachar here? Or yashar. What's the nekeva? Or chozer. The or chozer and the or yashar have to have a clash. That clash makes nitzotzot. That nitzotzot hit the rishimu, because when the or yashar goes up, it leaves the rishimu, right? So the nitzotzot go down to the rishimu, and they make the kli. And like this, the sfirot happens over and over until, how does it happen? So you have the peh de'ak. Let's call this the peh of ak. This peh de'ak makes the kelim through the aleph bet. The aleph bet is the source of all life, from aleph till taf. It's everything over there. How do you know? If you take the word aleph, how do you spell it out? Aleph. Aleph, right? Aluf. And you have taf. How do you spell taf? Taf. Taf yud vav. If you put the two words together, you get pilaot.
Wonders.
What? Wonders. If you take all the aleph bet together, from aleph till taf, you could create pilaot. That's, ever wonder where abracadabra came from? It's Aramaic. Abera, kedabera. It's in the Gemara. I will create as I will speak. Yes, even this they couldn't think of themselves. They came from us. Yeah. So where is the so you have aleph till taf, you have peh de'ak. Now what happens is, to create a kli, you have to come out incomplete. You have to strive. Now, what does the akudim all strive to? To go back to its source. And that's the secret of humanity. We all have to strive to go back to the Ein Sof. Now here is the secret. We really are in the Ein Sof already. You just don't realize it yet. We want to if you're mizachech yourself, mizdachech, you purify yourself, purify, to the point where you realize that you're not even a being. That you're really inside the Ein Sof the whole time. You understand what I'm saying? But since we don't, even that's already too much. And even that's too much. So really, in our existence, we have to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What did the Torah say this past week? En od milvado. There's really nothing but Him. So what happened? Keter comes out, but Keter wants to go back. Why? He wants to go back because he was created with nefesh, ruach, and neshama chaya. But he's missing his yechida. And what is Keter's real part? Yechida. That's his part. So what does he do to get back to his yechida? He goes back into the peh of ak. He goes back. Once he goes back into the peh of ak, he gets his yechida. And then what happens is Chokhmah gets its chaya, Binah gets the neshama, Vak, they all get their ruachs, right? Malchut the nefesh, and so on and so forth, until the Malchut goes up to the beginning of the Binah. And what does she get? She has her full Narnechi. But the problem is, this is the Kli, right? It has its Narnechi. Malchut gets finished first. Remember. And also our Tikkun. When we want to get to Ruach, first we have to finish what first? The Nefesh. The Nefesh. So you get your Narnechi. The Malchut gets her Narnechi. The Shekhinah gets her Narnechi. God's divine presence. Nefesh and Chaya. But she still needs to get two other parts. What are they? The Makif. Remember we learned about the Makif? Makif the Chaya and Makif the Yechida. So how many parts do we have altogether really? 7. 5 inner and 2 outer. Really there were supposed to be 10. But once you go down to the world of Akudim, the 3 lower Mikifim don't have a revelation anymore. So instead of having 5 Pinimim, 5 inner parts of your Neshama, and 5 outer parts of your Makif, you only have what now? 5 inner parts of your Neshama and 2 Makifs. So you have Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida, and Makif de Chaya, and Makif de Yechida. In your body, what is your Makif de Chaya? That's the part that comes out of your hair. It comes out of your hair. Your hair comes out from an Or Chozer of Makif de Chaya, and that's how your hair comes out. And you're bald, but you don't need it anymore. You understand? Yeah, you fixed it. You don't need it anymore. It's there automatically. You understand? And then you're already in the level of arich. And then your body ends. You Like you're supposed to be there. And then your makif de yichida is much above it. It's not even close to you. It's like, it's much above it. It's much above it. You understand? The makif de chaya is close to you, like hair, and your makif de yichida is much above you. Okay? That's why a hat is very important in Judaism. The hat it represents your keter. You understand? So you, huh? I mean, I think so, yeah.
Or it represents the...
No,
The other stuff.
I don't think so at all. So anyways, so you have, now what happens is, well, we're doing a review in short because I really want to get back to the OTZROT CHAIM inside. Okay? So you have the world of Akudim. Now it comes now out for the world of the Nikudim to come out, right? You have Ta'amim, Nikudot. Now all the Oz and Chot and Peh were the Ta'amim of Sag, right? Ab the Sag. Now it's time to come out what? Sag Shebesag. Sag Shebesag has to come out. So what happens? From now Sag Shebesag, where does it start from? If Ab the Sag starts from the Ozen, Sag Shebesag starts from the Tabur. Right? So from the Tabur there's a Aliyat Man. Aliyat Man. To get, first you have to ask. If you don't ask, you're not gonna get. That's called Midah Keneged Midah. Man Keneged Mad. That's the way the world works. So what happens is, Sag Ma Ben, the Sag go up to above the Tabur of Ak.
They're in Akudim, or are they going to Akudim?
They're going up to Akudim, Chotem Peh. They go all the way up to the Ab and Sag of Ak. They go all the way there, which is Abba and Ima of Ak. So the children, let's call them Lamashal, the children are asking the parents, can we have something? And the parents have a zivug, and they give birth outside of Ak that come out through the Einayim. This happens all the Pnimiut. This happens inside of Ak. So throughout the Einayim come out what? Olam HaNekudim. Olam HaNekudim then make a way through the Ozen Chotem Peh, and they're mitlabesh Ak on the outside from the Tabur and on.
So where's the Shibolet come here?
We didn't even talk about the Shibolet.
But I thought they meet in the Shibolet.
Ozen Chotem Peh meet in the Shibolet. Okay? Now what happens? Why is the Shibolet important? If you're already mentioning it, the Shibolet would be right here.
Right.
Keter Chochma in Bina of Ak, of Nikudim, get their Koach from the Ozen and Chotem from the Shibolet. Where Ozen and Chotem Peh meet. But the Chesed until Malachut of the Nikudim, which will break at the end, didn't get the Ozen and the Chotem. They only got from the Peh of Ak, and eventually that's gonna spell out not such good news. Okay? Until next week, we're gonna start getting back into the Nikudim. Now one more shiur till where we got in the Nikudim, and then we're gonna do from the Nikudim on the inside. Baruch Adonai Le'olam Amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashia Omer.